Okay. Hello. Welcome back. This is episode number 2. This is the second video of my research project. If you watched the first video, you'll know that this research project is about the use of smartphones and social media and how that affects our mental health, physical health, emotions, and quality of life. So to reiterate, what drove me to this project was the fact that I personally felt my own brain slipping compared to my younger self. And, oh, my doggy's coming over. So I wasn't happy with the changes that I noticed in myself. And I was able to directly correlate that with my own use of my iPhone and of social media, at the time Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook namely. So what I did was I texted everybody I know, most people that I know, and I'll read you the message I sent them. And this includes the questions that I asked them. Round 1, basically. Okay. So I literally texted everybody. I said, "Hey guys, I'm researching the topic of smartphone/social media usage and would love if you could take a few moments to answer the below questions. All answers are judgment-free and anonymous." Some people asked me if it was a bot that was texting them, which I also found kind of alarming and disturbing, because that was me. That's a whole other topic. But basically, there are 8 questions in total. And so today, I'm going to go through what the questions are and my own answers for them. And before I do that, I just want to reiterate the purpose behind this entire project is not to shame social media or phones. They are part of modern life. It's how we keep in touch with our friends, our family, and we'll get into some of the great reasons why we love our phones, and that's all great. But again, this isn't to demonize it, isn't to tell you to get off your phone. What this intends to be is a open conversation that we can just talk about it, because like I said, we, meaning anybody who's 0 to 100 or anybody alive right now, we are the guinea pig generation for this technology. We are the first individuals to grow up with access to smartphones, iPhone, Samsung, TV at the whim of your fingertips, social media, constant access to each other's lives, you name it, you know all about it, you live here, and you're on this platform. So it's just to start the conversation and have us be able to reach out to one another, share our own reflections, share our opinions, and from that, hopefully bring some mindfulness to our usage. And that is going to look different for every single person. So lay down your defenses, open up your mind, and get ready to have a nice little chat. I'm very excited about this. And let's begin. So, like I said, round 1 was 8 questions. And round 1 was the simplest because it was yes or no responses or multiple choice responses. So there was no option to write a free form answer, which that means a lot of people replied to me. I got, I think, between 60 and 70 responses to round 1, which is different from rounds 2 and 3, which were thoughtful responses required. And so I'm gonna tell you the questions and I'll let you know my answers. I'll probably go a little deeper than just the multiple choice, and some people did that. Some people put the multiple choice response and then they also put a little afterthought or a little more information, which I really valued and appreciated. And my favorite part of this project so far is seeing people's responses, because we are all so different. On one hand, there are universal underlappings going on. But for the most part, I've been surprised by the differences in everybody's unique replies. So for the first question, number 1, age range. So the options are teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. I fall into 20s currently, not for long. So number 2, do you have social media apps on your phone? Yes or no? I would, short answer, say yes, though the apps that I count as social media on my phone would be Goodreads, Tumblr, Spotify, and Venmo. Again, I don't really think most people would count things like Spotify and Venmo, but to me, if there's that social aspect that you can see somebody's profile and have a clue as to what they're doing in life, I do think that counts for me. If it's something that I can click into and have access to someone, I'm counting that. So my answer is yes, I do have that on my phone. And then this was a good one. How many times per day do you click into social media apps? Once a day or less, 2 to 5 times per day, 6 to 10 times per day, or 10 plus times per day. Now this depends on the day. There are some days where I'm out and about with friends, family, out in nature, and not even touching the phone. Is that every day? Oh, no, but I wish it was. It is not. So some days, sure, once a day or less. I'd say the average is probably the 6 to 10 times per day one, but I definitely have and still do fall into the 10 plus times per day, where again, I told you the apps that I do have, there's really no reason to be clicking those multiple times a day. Oh, and of course YouTube, that counts. I forgot to list YouTube. Sometimes I click into YouTube an unhealthy amount. And I find that when I am stuck in those patterns, it's really hard to break out of it. It's like crack. So for myself, I notice that I feel worse on those days and I don't like how that feels. And so most of the time I'm strong enough to not do that. But every now and again, especially a day like today, it's a little cloudy, a little chilly, and I'm alone, it happens. So full transparency. Number 4, do you use your smartphone as an alarm clock? Yes, I do. And I honestly miss having a real alarm clock. As a kid, I had an alarm clock. It was so cool. It would make a hologram on my ceiling if I wanted it to, and it would project the time up there. It had different sounds. It had rain sounds, froggies, had a bunch of stuff. But trust issues, because sometimes it would randomly not go off. Like there were a few times that I had to wake up for school and for no apparent reason it did not go off. So I think from that, that made me really stressed out. I think from that I will use my phone, but I sleep with my phone on airplane mode, so it's technically off. There's no Wi-Fi on and there's no cell service on, so it's only the alarm and or downloaded music. So that's my answer. Number 5 is a biggie for me. Do you check your phone as soon as you wake up? Always, mostly, sometimes, rarely, never. Again, this can vary on the day, but for myself, in the past, when I did check my phone upon waking, it made my day overall filled with more anxiety and more stress and just being way too plugged in and way too available for other people's every single text, call, notification. So because of that, I got really strict with myself and forced myself. I have a really strict rule about not checking my phone upon waking up. I have a rule that I do my morning pages, shout out Artist Way, and I do my morning meditation and pranayama and oil pulling before I allow myself to check my phone. There are exceptions, and that is also linked with anxiety in my book because, for example, when my dog was in the hospital after his emergency gallbladder removal, I was worried about him, had to be available at all times. I would be constantly checking. Same way if I'm traveling sometimes and someone's watching my dog, I want to be available just in case. or if something's going on with a loved one or a friend, I want to be available to them. I will sometimes check that. Example, if I have to pick someone up from the airport in the morning, yeah, I'm gonna wake up and check on their flight. Those are what I consider special circumstances. So for the most part, at this ripe age of 29 in my life, I am really strict about it because of how I feel that it affects my whole day. When I start my day centered and balanced with my healthy habits, I am a different person and I have a better life. So I'm strict about that. This one is tougher for me. Number 6, do you use your phone right before you go to sleep at night? Always, mostly, sometimes, rarely, never. I would love to be at the point that it's a never for me because, again, I feel that it affects my quality of sleep, my brain overall, and who I am as a person overall, because every night adds up. But I do find myself on my phone sometimes. I do like to look at things on like Tumblr or Pinterest sometimes. Or sometimes I'll do random things like look up certain astrological shifts and aspects. So for me right now, I would rate that as a sometimes. My ideal would be never or rarely. And it's also easier, again, when I'm with friends or a loved one, sleepover vibes, I'm not on my phone. But when I'm alone sometimes, it's hard because of that loneliness aspect, and I don't have accountability of somebody mirroring my movements and watching my movements. So it's easier for me to slip into phone realm. But that's just me. Number 7, do you sleep with your phone on? Like I said, it's kind of a yes, kind of a no. I do sleep with it on, but it's on airplane mode, and I use it for an alarm, and I also play a downloaded frequency that I sleep with overnight, a sound healing frequency. Number 8 is a goodie. Okay, have you ever taken a social media break? Intentionally going any length of time, such as 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, etc., without using social media sites? Yes or no? If yes, how long did you go and what was your experience like? If no, is taking a break something you would ever be interested to try? So those options would be, yes, I would like to try, but it gives me anxiety. No, I would not be interested because I'm content with my level of usage. No, I would not be interested because I would not want to go without social media. Or unsure because I have never thought about it. For me, when I was on the platforms like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I would frequently take breaks. I would frequently go a week or 2 or a month, and it would kind of get longer every time I did it. I've done this many, many times in the past because of, let's say I had a busy schedule or something I really had to focus on. I knew that I couldn't be my highest quality self while also putting my energy out towards all those platforms. So I intentionally would take a break. Then I would notice how great I felt, how great my brain felt. And then after a certain period, I would say, oh, I got this. I can easily go back on and not be dragged into it because I don't even miss it. It doesn't have that hold on me that it once had. But then sure enough, after sometimes even just a day, sometimes a few days, it went back into that same groove for me, and I did get to that same point in the cycle where I needed to take a break again because of how much I felt affected by it. So those are the questions of round 1. Like I said, most people did answer them. Thank you to everybody who's answered them, and if you'd like to answer them, feel free, email, comments, go for it, or just think about it. Then round 2 I created, and this one is the middle round, obviously. 17 questions. So a little longer, but the difference is there's no multiple choice. So I think I have about 16 or 17 responses to these as of now, but then I also have a lot of people saying that they are working on them or they intend to work on them. That remains to be seen. Either way, I'm going to go through my replies and just talk about it. So I encourage you to also think about your answers, your intentions, and bring a little more awareness and mindfulness to our habits, because at the end of the day, our habits make up our life. And again, some people could be totally fine, totally not have a problem with it. The reason I had a problem with it is because I feel that I'm on earth to do important things. I have a list of things I would love to do before I die, knowing that we all are going to die. That is a guarantee. It's not an if, it's a when. Knowing that there's so much I want to do, and scrolling all day is just not one of them for me. But that's completely okay if that is for you. So no judgment. Number 1, how old were you when you received your first smartphone? I received my first cell phone that you could call and text on when I was 12, I believe. I think it was the summer going into 6th grade for me that my dad had gotten myself and my brother. And then, so I was 12, the first smartphone, if you count this, I would, is a BlackBerry that my high school boyfriend got me when I think I was in the 10th grade, so I think around 15 years old. I loved my BlackBerry. It was the purple BlackBerry Curve, BBM. It was incredible. But I don't remember doing anything other than BBM and texting on that. Then I got an iPhone, I think when I was 16 or 17, in maybe 11th or 12th grade. I remember the switch from BlackBerry to iPhone for me was traumatic. I hated it. I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to use it. My brother was helping me, bless his soul. I was like, this is so stupid. I can't understand this. Change is tough for me. I was very attached to my BlackBerry, but I think at that point they were phasing them out, and it got very slow, and everybody was telling me to get an iPhone, to do iMessage and all that fun stuff. So then once I figured out iPhone life, I was a mad tweeter. Oh my God. Twitter was my favorite social media. I also did love Instagram back when it was chronological. You had your friends. People were just posting pictures of avocado toast, no ads, no business, nothing like that. It was just pure fun. Then Twitter, I made so many friends. I had so many followers. Lana followed me. That was a big pull for Twitter. We had all our Lana friends from the community, went to concerts. It was a whole lifestyle. And Twitter was a more fun pastime for me than hanging out with some of my friends in real life, which I feel like on one hand, no regrets, but on the other hand, that might be a little bit of a problem if you're not able to be present with people in real life because you just want to get back to the people in your phone. So that's something noteworthy for me personally. Well, the second question was, how old were you when you began using social media? So before I had any iPhone, it was on the computer. So I think I had Facebook in maybe like 2008, sometime in middle school for me, or yeah. And then same thing, MySpace was a biggie. So MySpace, AIM, and Facebook were what we were all on in our young days. And AIM, I remember like sometimes I would just want to rush home, log on, chat with friends. And sometimes the people I would chat with were not even people I was friends with in school, which is kind of funny. Like, yes, we would chat with our actual friends on there, but in my experience, I would be chatting with other kids at school that I wouldn't necessarily talk to in real life. I think there was that aspect of being behind the screen, you're more comfortable, and when you see people are online, everyone was just talking. I don't know if that was just me. And then same for MySpace. I remember we had top friends. You would put like your best friends in order on MySpace. Some people would get butthurt if they weren't in the top friends or if somebody was ranking above them in the top friends. I loved MySpace because you could put songs on your profile. Same with AIM. You could make a whole bio, a whole profile, colors, fonts, images, quotes, like, away messages, statuses. It was a great time. I was obsessed with it. I loved it so much. Rip MySpace, rip Tom. Same thing, Facebook at that time, it was like Candy Crush, Farmville. Is it Cash Cow? Is that the name of one of them? And then you would kind of write about yourself in third person. You'd be like, Olivia is at the mall. So that was incredible. It was great. You would poke someone. You can't make it up. It was wonderful. So then I would say from the iPhone, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, having the app version definitely became more addictive because it was in your hand at all times, or I guess as much as you wanted it to be, and you had that constant access, whereas before that you had to go to the family computer, log on. You couldn't just sit on that computer all day because other people had to use it, and or you just didn't sit on the computer all day. You had to do other stuff. So put yourself back in your old self's shoes. Compare and contrast the differences between then and now for the following questions. Number 3, what did your life look like before having a smartphone / social media? What does life look like now? I pretty much described the beginning of life with social media, but before that, I would say it was much more present, free, open, a lot more socializing in the flesh, like gatherings, parties, barbecues, walking down to your neighbor's house, going to the park and meeting up with friends and people, sometimes not even orchestrated. Like sometimes you would call or knock on someone's door to see if they can hang out, but sometimes you would just show up and hope someone else was there or find somebody to hang out with. I would oftentimes like practice my instruments, listen to my CDs, go out for runs and walks and walk my dog, play in the backyard. We would make up imaginary games. And again, we were kids, but I still think that would be a fun thing to do now. And I think that if we didn't have all of our energy going to the phone realms, I would be down to make up imaginary games with people. My family and I loved doing that. My friends and I loved doing that. We would do it at recess. And then same thing, a bunch of sports, just being really active. And I think a difference now, sometimes when you want to relax, you or I'll talk for myself, will lay in bed and do a scrolly-poly. And I think back then, if you wanted to relax, you would lay on the couch, watch a little bit of TV, but I feel like you couldn't even watch too much TV because you didn't have the control over what was on. You'd eventually get sick of it, and then you'd have to get up and do something else. Whereas now, a big difference is there's really nothing and no one stopping anybody from rotting and scrolling. There's no like end in sight. It's just an infinite scroll. It will refresh. So I think that's a big difference. What else? It's obviously different considering the ages. Like when we were younger, we didn't have a job or certain responsibilities that we have now. But it's interesting to think back and put myself in those old shoes. A lot of reading, that's the same. I used to love to read. I still read all the time. If anything, that's an addiction for me, honestly. I love reading so much. And I would say the biggest difference, though, overall, would be the quality of conversations and the quality of presence. For example, growing up, it was common, we were told no phones at the table. When it's a mealtime, you sit down, you look each other in the eyes, you talk, you fight, you cry, you do whatever you do, but you don't go on your phone. Whereas now, most people that I know in my age group keep that up, since that's how we were raised. We don't really use phones during meal times. But the older generation that is in my life will. And it's kind of the opposite, where we're like, hello, you guys used to tell us, using the phone at a meal is really rude. And now, why are you doing that? I think the answer for a lot of people is just that addiction and the habit. So that's, I think, the major difference. You used to chat with people the chats would be a little deeper, a little longer. And now I think everyone, not everybody, but I think it's common that sometimes people are a little antsy to get back to their scrolls. That is something I've noticed. Number 4, what was your attention span like at the time? Some people have answered and told me that they find their attention span is better now than as a kid because they've consciously worked on that as they've gotten older. I'm the opposite. My attention span was so much better when I was younger. For example, I used to love watching movies, still do, but I watch way less movies now. And when I do watch a movie and my phone is near, I will tap it. I will open my phone while I'm watching a movie unconsciously and try to multitask in that way. Like, oh yeah, the movie's on, but I'm looking at something. Like if I'm alone. If I'm with somebody, we'll watch the movie, maybe chat a little bit about it. But I used to be able to sit and watch full movies, no problem, not be bored, not lose my interest. Now I find my interest wanes way more than I would like. Same thing, I think, just being used to going to school. I was not a fan of being trapped in a brick building on a sunny day, but I did have the attention span to do so, to pay attention, to be present, and to give my full attention to the teacher, the students, the subject. Again, whereas now, sometimes if something's not like catered to my interest or something very naturally interesting to me, I find myself sidetracking in my mind a little bit, and then I have to consciously bring myself back to pay attention and listen, even if someone's talking to me. That's something I've noticed, and it's also something I don't like, so hence the backing away from social media. Number 5, how did you spend your free time, including special hobbies and interests? How do you spend your free time now, including special hobbies and interests? Like I said, the musical thing is across the board, listening to music, playing instruments and practicing, making up songs and singing. That's something that's still present now, but far less than I know it would be if I didn't have the option of a phone or a computer at home. The making up games and sports, way more in the past than now. Definitely more outside time in the past than now, even though obviously I try to be outside every day in the summer, of course. But for me, I think it even used to be more. Special hobbies and interests. That's another thing that I've noticed. I think it's more of an effort now to have special hobbies and interests, whereas it used to be natural because you used to have to do something, right? It's like, okay, what do you do today? Okay, well, I was, listening to my CD and I decided to write down all the lyrics in my notebook, and then I analyzed them, and then I wrote my own poem about it. Like, I don't know, that's just the stuff I would do. Whereas now, if you don't consciously make an effort to have a special hobby or a special interest, it's actually easy not to if you're on your phone, because you can just watch other people have their special hobbies and interests and share that. And by watching a YouTube video of somebody's hobby, you feel like you're taking in a glimpse of that life, and you feel like you're even maybe taking part in that hobby, but in reality, you're not. That's something really tricky. I think I used to watch a lot of videos about like exercise, or people like going on a long hike or backpacking or a long run, and I would feel secondhand like I was on that hike or on that run, and I saw the sights that they were pointing out, and I'm like, yeah, that's beautiful. Whew, that was awesome. No, I'm in bed. That's not, you need to get up and go outside. You did not just do that. Very disillusioning, dystopian for me. I don't like it. Of course, there's a balance, of course, of watching that stuff, and I enjoy that. But you have to also, if you want to really get the benefits, you have to do that too. This is a goodie. Okay, this is a goodie. Number 6. What were your relationships like, and how did you connect with the people in your life, versus what are your relationships like now, and how do you connect with the people in your life now? so much is via text and FaceTime now, so much. And obviously in the past it was call, on the cord phone, in the kitchen, or on the cell phone, usually the home phone, and schedule a date to hang out in real life. On one hand, that does limit you to people in your geographical location, whereas now the people in my life aren't necessarily in my immediate location. They're different continent, different state, different country. So obviously it's a blessing to be able to stay in contact, even the people that are local. Everyone's busy in their adult lives, and it's harder to get together the more we grow up. So that's a huge difference. There used to be so many more family parties, gatherings. Now it's really an effort to prioritize these things, and I'm lucky if I see a few of my closest friends even a few times a year. And I think that's also goes with aging in general, but much more common now with the phones. And again, another thing I'll say about that is just the quality of relationships, like I was saying before, where when you're with someone, like let's say I'm with one of my dear friends, maybe they'll have a phone out or be kind of checking a work email or checking a text from their mom or just different things, whereas in the past when we were together there was really no availability. Like somebody would have to wait until you got home and checked your messages to be able to get back to them. Now the rate at which we reply and expect replies is almost instantaneous, I feel. So if we're not immediately replying to somebody, maybe it brings some people anxiety or more of that dread feeling like, oh, I'm going to have to deal with this later, I have to reply. Whereas it used to be a lot more organic, I feel. Number 7, what did you used to spend time thinking about, and what do you spend time thinking about now? I used to spend a lot of time thinking about like getting older and like being an adult finally. As a kid, I was like, one day I'm gonna be an adult and I'm gonna do this and do this. And I think, again, a lot of music, like I would listen to so much music and I would think about the lyrics, think about the world in which I was transported through the music. I would think about, I think just more simple thoughts, and not necessarily simple. I don't know the word. I think I had a lot less anxiety as a young person, pre-smartphone, pre-social media. I don't think I actually had anxiety. I could be wrong, but I think I leaned a lot more towards depression or apathy or like, that stupid, I'm not gonna do that, but I wasn't necessarily anxious. I could have been though, and just not had the awareness. But I do remember feeling like, I think I felt a lot more alone as a youngin because I didn't have constant access to people's brains, and the people that I was around, they weren't necessarily sharing their deepest feelings, or maybe they weren't even aware of that at the time as we were all young. Whereas I feel like now, one of the benefits of social media and digital world, I mean, you can look at it as a benefit if you want to, is people feeling more comfortable to share like their struggles that you wouldn't necessarily know about. Whereas I think back then it was more like, yeah, we're all fine, we're all good. And then once people started finding out, oh, you're not good? Oh, well, I'm not good either. And then I think that started to become more acceptable and normalized. Whereas I think it used to be like, you know what, I'm not feeling that great today, but I gotta get to work, I gotta buck up, okay, let me go be around people. And I think that's a big difference. What I spend time thinking about now is, I think, all the things that I want to do still. Maybe that's been a common theme in both, but yeah, I think I'm thinking how I can like be my best version, do healthy things. Like I like to practice yoga, but I don't practice it as much as I would like to. So I think a thought I have a lot is, I should really do a little yoga. Should, I want to sit down to meditate. I want to sit down and plan this project. I want to sit down and write a nice piece of writing, a poem, some journaling. I think about a lot of the people in my life. I wonder what people are doing, if people are okay, if they're doing good, if anyone needs me, because I think my life, the big purpose of my life is service and connection. So that looks like, I think I talk to a lot of people on an average day, a lot of friends, clients, family members, and always trying to provide a little bit of laughter or insight or assistance in any way possible, not only for the other person, but also for me. I love connecting with people. I think that's what makes the world go around. I think about taking care of my dog, making sure he's good. I think about planning future travels or work, like planning, scheduling with clients, courses, education, studying things, whether it's language. I think about reading a lot. I love my book world. Sometimes I think about like worst case scenarios. What would happen if this? I want to be prepared if this, especially health cases. I want to take care of my body, take care of my brain. I want to get better at this, get better at that, enhance my quality of life in any way that I can, because I think that's the main thing getting older teaches me, is just that life is not a guarantee. We can wake up tomorrow, but we also cannot wake up tomorrow. So if that was the case, would I want to spend my last day doing XYZ? That might be a little dramatic for some people, but you can call me dramatic. So this is a goodie too, number 8. How did you used to feel generally in your body, mind, and spirit? How do you generally feel now? Like I said, I think I felt a lot more apathetic and cynical and like negative as a kid or as a younger person. And now I definitely feel a lot more like harmonious and positive, optimistic, which I think is the opposite for a lot of people that have replied. But for me, I think that's because just the evolution, the personal growth. But when I compare it to the social media and phone aspect, I compare that with connection. Because again, back in the day, I was kind of alone with my thoughts in my room, thinking I'm the only one feeling a certain way. Now I've come to find out so much about the world and about people and about energies and about healing. And I recognize that separation is an illusion. We are all one. So if I'm feeling something, I'm either tapping into a collective feeling that's being felt, or I at least know that other people are sharing in what I'm feeling. I don't feel as alienated. As a kid, I definitely felt misunderstood, alienated, a little freak, in a good way and in a bad way at times, depending. But now I'd say definitely still a freak, but in a positive way and in a way that I'm a lot more secure and confident in who I am and what I believe. And I resonate a lot more with my beliefs, whereas I think pre-phone life, my beliefs were a product of my immediate environment, so like family and school, neighborhood, which is very limiting compared to now when we have all these schools of thought at our fingertips at any moment. So for me, I think the main The only thing that I'll say about is the opposite is I used to feel a lot more like serene and at peace, just being disconnected, like not being expected to be available 24/7. That's something I'm working on now, is like I'll have days where I take a break from my phone or go phoneless for half the day just to disconnect, unplug, and get back to that level of peace. But then my worry brain gets a little antsy and it's like, oh, I should check on someone. Is this person okay? Is everyone okay? Because of course, also the days that I'm doing that and then go back on my phone later are the days that everyone and their mother is calling me, something's going on. So this is the next question, number 9, related to this. What do you miss most about your old life? What do you appreciate most about your present life? So I'd say the thing I miss most about my old life is just that simplicity and that like presence and that whole brain. My brain used to feel whole, even if I was feeling negative or feeling alienated or whatnot, which is not all the time, but at times, I felt very me because I had access to my own energy, and it was more contained compared to now when it's more dispersed all over the place at times. And I definitely miss the environment of just like everyone else being present naturally, people being able to like laugh, lay back, relax, chill out. And now I think people in general, not speaking for myself, but thinking about the people I knew at that time compared to now, I'd say overall people are a lot more stressed out and high strung. And I think I would be too if I wasn't consciously making a really strict effort to not. Like, without my meditation, without my practices, I think I would also be in that space. That's why I do them. I think that's something I talk about to people a lot. Like, oh, no. I don't meditate because I think it's the most fun thing in the world sometimes, but it didn't start out that way. I meditate because when I don't meditate, life is horrifying sometimes. So that's kind of another subject, but current life. What I appreciate most about my present life, I think just the beauty in acceptance and accepting everyone for who they are, including myself, like all the love that I feel for myself and for everybody. Like, doesn't matter if somebody has a differing view or opinion, like I can understand everybody and love everybody. Whereas in the past, there was a lot I didn't understand because I assumed everyone thought the same way as me, and I would assume things like, oh, well, if this person really cared, then they would think this way because that's how I think. Meanwhile, that is not true. And I've learned a lot about that. And I think I just appreciate the quality of the people in my life. I appreciate the depth and connection that so many special people have come to me on this path, and even the people that were always in my life, like my family and old friends, I still appreciate them even if we don't speak anymore, or even if we still do. My appreciation has still grown. I'm thankful for every single person I've ever met and every single place I've ever been. I get like overwhelmed by the gratitude of Earth, that it's overwhelming. I could go on a whole tangent about that. But I think the level of awe is something that I think in the past I focused on the negatives, and so I saw more negatives, whereas now I'm constantly seeing the silver linings or the positives in situations, and that's such a blessing. I would not trade that for all the technology in the world. I think it's just priceless. It's more valuable than any technology could ever be. So that was the first half, and now the second half takes us to the present. Number 10, how important is connection in your life? 11 out of 10. Connection is everything. And from my view, I think it's the lack of connection that drives most people to be on their phones or to be chronically online, because we're searching for that company or connection, and it stems from loneliness. So for me, connection is so, so, so important. Connecting with loved ones, nature, even forms of media like books and a good movie and music to me. Oh my God, it's so important. More than words, more than anything in itself, I think. So incredibly important for me, and I am always striving to prioritize connection. Like my calendar is basically filled up with like, okay, let's get people together to do this little group, or let's invite everybody out to the beach, or this, let's go take the kids out here, let's go to this family party, let's call somebody up that I haven't seen in a while. Like I'm very cognizant and aware in that. When I have some friends and people that tell me they are usually the ones to reach out to others and like make the plan, and they are a little butthurt or like a little bit offended about it, naturally just a little hurt. Whereas I don't feel that way. I'm happy to be the one that is making the plans, because I just know that that's my level of awareness naturally, and that other people sometimes only have the capacity to look at what's directly in front of them. And that's the other problem, when what's directly in front of them is just kind of that infinite scroll, because you take that away, and I believe that you have more space to think of someone. So if I'm on Instagram, I'm thinking about maybe the people that I'm directly seeing in front of me, but I won't think about somebody that's not on there. And if I don't have Instagram, I'm thinking about somebody if they were in my dream, or if I saw a movie and the character reminded me of them. So it's more organic, like I said. And that was an experience that I had when I stepped back from social media. When I was on social media, I was a very vibrant presence. I was up in the DMs, the comments, the likes of like all the people that I followed, because otherwise I wouldn't follow someone that I wasn't social with. So when I backed away, I was actually surprised by how easily people quote unquote forgot about me, or how much less I spoke to certain people. Because on Instagram, I would say there were certain people that were in my life at like a 9 out of 10 scale, like very present being in my life. And then being off it, that person would drop to like maybe like a 2 out of 10, or I would barely see them, barely speak to them. And that was a little bamboozling for me, because I really didn't expect that, but I think it makes sense now that I think about it for the reasons I stated. But I definitely didn't expect that, because I think I'm the type of person that I have an easy time connecting with someone. Like I can send someone a photo, or just call somebody, or just ask somebody how they're doing. But I think other people either feel awkward about that, or just don't naturally have the capacity to go beyond the scroll if they're a little dead inside from life, or just like drained from their day. So I think that's a big thing I've noticed. Number 11, apart from social media, what are the main ways you connect with the people in your life? Workshops, one-on-one calls, group calls, FaceTime, iMessage, going out to dinner, going to an escape room, going to a museum, talking to people, walking dogs on the street, showing up in people's dreams. There are infinite ways. But I do like to hear people's answers for that, because I think, like I was saying, a lot of the people that I know kind of can't even remember the last time they saw somebody, but it feels like they recently saw that person, because they're constantly seeing their posts, and they're maybe doing likes with each other, poking each other on Facebook. I don't know if that's still a thing, but I think if you think back to when the last time you hung out with someone is, if you make a list of the people in your life and you look at the reality, oh my God, I haven't even seen her since like pre-COVID. That's humbling. Number 12, do you feel content with the level of connection you receive? I'm really blessed to say that I do. Like I said, I didn't always, especially pre adulthood, but now I'm very blessed and I do. And then I'm also a person that alone time is very important for, very crucial, very vital. So if I'm not connecting with somebody, I'm connecting with myself, or I'm forced to connect with myself. Sometimes it takes that. And I'm very grateful for that. 13. If you no longer had access to social media, how do you think your current life would look differently? Like I said, mine looked different when I got off because people reached out to me way less. And they also expected me to automatically know what was going on in their lives without them telling me. Like, they'd be like, oh, did you hear this? Did you see this? People still do this to me to this day after being off it for 3 years now. And I'm like, no, you didn't tell me. How would I know that? And they're like, oh, it's on Facebook. I'm like, oh, I did not see that. No, like, tell me about it. And they're like, oh, okay, here's a picture. You know, it's like an extra step that people forget about. How else? So if I didn't have access to social media, I would say I wouldn't know what someone's playlist was on Spotify. That's something that I look at. I look at my friends' playlists and I listen to them because I love music and I love my friends. I wouldn't know what people were reading on Goodreads, and I have a bunch of little Goodreads internet friends where we chat about books. That's something I would miss. And I would also, again, spend a lot less time on my phone in general. I would be forced to go outside more, read more, write more, do my chores more, work more, maybe. So how else would it look different? Social media. I think other than that, my sister would actually be a good person to ask about this because she is in a generation, she's in a Gen Z generation where she's a real rare bird. She is one of, I think, the only people that she knows that doesn't have any social media. So when she'll see people out and hang out with some people, they'll be like, where can I find you? Like, what do you do in your life? Like, how do I know what you're up to and what you're doing? And she's so funny. She goes, I only exist in the physical realm. You can't find me in the digital realm. She's iconic. I love her so much. And so her life would look a lot different if people were able to reach out to her in the phone world. And again, she has a phone. She has a smartphone. People could text her. People could FaceTime her. Do they? Not really. No, she pretty much has to be the one to do it, again, because she's not on people's minds, because she's not up on their algorithms. Number 15. How much time do you spend on your phone daily? Are you content with that level of usage? Why or why not? No, I'm not content. That's why I'm doing this project. I'm also not content because sometimes I am content when I'm not on it much. But when I do get sucked in, if I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos or scrolling too much on Tumblr, Goodreads, there's no reason to click into these apps so many times a day, and sometimes I will do that and I will neglect other things, and then I will get lost in the time and spend way too much time doing that, and then I realize how much time I'm in there, and then I start a cycle of oh god, okay, I should get off, and sometimes I just don't because I'm so abducted iPad baby. And that's a really scary feeling to me. I know some people are used to it or don't think it's that big of a deal. To me it is, and I would encourage you also to maybe just think about that a little bit, but again, everyone's different. Number 16, are there any changes you would like to make in general to your present life? Yes, I have a lot of goals and dreams. I'm a qualitarian, so I go for high quality or no quality. So I ideally would like to be more organized. Like if I always have a running to-do list of my home, things that need like a deep clean or a deep tidy, like there's always something to be done. I always have a bunch of projects that I'm working on creatively, so like with music or with writing, with art, with reading, with learning, with practicing languages. There's always more that I want to know and practice. Fitness is a huge one. I definitely want to deepen my yoga and calisthenic practices, maybe try new things, go for more hikes. Like there's just so many things that I want to do, and that's all just individual. That's not even considering the social or the like connection aspect. I want to, you know, meet new people, meet more people, have more experiences and connections, travels. So there's just always so much I could be doing. And I've said this since I was a kid too. I think this just might be my constitution, but I have like never been bored a day in my life. Especially if I'm like at home or somewhere. I mean, in school, I've definitely been bored because you don't really have a choice. You just kind of have to sit there. That's another problem. But I feel like, you know, even if I'm on a plane or in a waiting room, like there's so much I could be reading or thinking about, daydreaming about. I love to daydream. I love to manifest. I love to create worlds and visit worlds. There's just so much to do. And the phone gets in the way of a lot of it for me. So that was the present. First segment was the past. Now we're on to future. These two questions. Number one, as technology advances, the world will continue to change and evolve in many ways. Is there anything you will do to remain mindful in a world that can easily sweep you away in a sea of never-ending distractions? Eso es porque meditamos. That is why we meditate. I say that all the time. More meditation, more mindfulness, more breathing exercises, everything having to do with the nervous system and regulating that parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest, taking care of the sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight, which even a certain like notification on the phone can bring that up, or you know, a phone call in general, or seeing a post that makes you upset online. Nervous system regulation is a huge one for me, and something that I see being really beneficial for people in my life, people I love. So I think aside from the research project on this channel, I definitely intend to create a separate playlist of healing modalities, which includes a lot of the nervous system healing that I'm talking about, because I do think it relates to this, and it's also a big part of my life, my work, soul work, earth work, career, however you want to call it all. What else I will do, I think this is a big part of it, is starting these conversations and bringing awareness to it, because maybe things that I've said in this video are ways that you may have felt but maybe had a little bit of shame admitting. Like maybe some people feel shame admitting that they even get caught up on their phones. Like I feel that way sometimes. I feel like embarrassed to be weak enough to be like swept away by my silly little iPhone, but no, that's what it's literally designed to do. And so there's nothing necessarily wrong with using it, but we do need to be mindful. Just like Prince said back before he was you know what, he said, you can use the computer, that's totally fine, but don't let the computer use you. I am here today because I have let the computer use me, and I believe in Prince. He is a real one. He knows exactly what he's talking about. That's why he's no longer with us. That's another topic. So maybe now that I've answered these and shared my answers, maybe some of you will be keen to submit some of your replies. I'm also going to have segments where some of my loved ones come on and share their thoughts. If that's something that sounds fun to you, let me know. I'll come to you and we'll have a discussion. I was going to save round 3 for another day, but honestly, I might just make one long video. Okay, you pulled my leg. Okay, so round 3, we have 40 questions here, and it relates to mental health, physical health, emotional connections, phone world, etc. So, first, a bathroom break.